Welcome to the highly anticipated second episode of Well Read. This issue here, Nintendo Power number 100. This was actually the first issue I wanted to do a read through for, but I figured I'd go with the Xbox since I knew a little bit more about those games and the systems and everything than I did with this when I flipped through it. I didn't have much to say at all when I initially looked through this magazine, so I took some time to do a little bit of research and play some of the games, or most of them actually, that are featured in this, just so I'd have something to actually say about them. So here we go. We got 64 pages of N64 reviews. See what they did there? They're two different numbers. Then we got the 100 best games of all time, the 100 coolest codes ever, and 100 GoldenEye exclusive killer ambushes. And there's a big 100 behind this character for some reason. Speaking of this character, they were able to get Xbox's iconic mascot character, Super Tan Marioner, to be on the cover of their magazine, which is kind of weird because this magazine came out 2 or 3 years before the Xbox was even out. So let's get started. So first off, we start with an ad for Star Fox 64, I think. Well, there's a lot of Star Fox 64 stuff. This looks to be an ad for Nintendo Power. And yes, what a way to start with a hurl bag. And not just any hurl bag. This is a already used hurl bag, as you can see here. If you can look past the barf, it's kind of neat what they did with the numbering system here. They put each page they put the cover of each Nintendo Power magazine in the bottom there. See, so they start off with one. I guess that's for the cover. See, he's doing a similar sort of jump, and they go the Castlevania Simon's Quest cover there. And what's this here? Ouch. What is this? I don't know. Whatever it is. It's issue 3. There's a fold out later, so in the magazine of all the covers, like a poster, so we could take a look at it then. But it's only cover 3, so who really cares? Here is the contents. No point. Wait a minute. 45 pages of N64 previews. We've already lost 1 page of previews. We're only like 2 pages in. Alright, so here we got the Player's Pulse. So it's like the letter section here. I think I read all of them, and there wasn't a ton of interesting things to say. It was actually really, really, really boring. But I do like the envelope art here. Here we have a baked loaf of bread, I guess, designed to look like a Game Boy. All right, I just want to warn you guys here. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but that is a lie. I don't know who they're trying to kid, because Metroid 64 does not exist. It never came out. And then there's somebody over here. They put a Barbie in, I guess, Samus's armor, and it's like really silly because it's like, how could Samus be a girl? Like, I mean, like here, even though this is fake news, look at this armor. Look at how tough this person is. Look at this cannon over here. Look at this sexy, feminine hourglass figure. You're telling me that there's a woman in that armor? Nice try, Derek. Down here we have a brief history of Nintendo. Okay, so in 1889, Fusajiro Yamauchi founds his gaming company, specializing in playing cards, Nintendo. So Nintendo's founded in 1889. Then for about 90 years, nothing happens until 1980 when the Nintendo introduces Game & Watch portable games. We got Donkey Kong debuts in arcades, the NES along with Rob, and the Light Zapper gun shoot into stores. It's a boy, a Game Boy is born. The Super NES storms onto the scene. Super Game Boy brings Game Boy to your television screen. Nintendo 64 revolutionizes home gaming. I might be biased there, but the Rumble Pack shakes things up for the N64 while Nintendo Power turns 100. So this brings us up to date. This is where we are right now. So here's more Players Pulse stuff. Again, not a lot too interesting. George Foreman, James Bond. Never seen him with glasses before. Michael Jackson impersonator. And here's a little comic of Nestor. It looks like he's never used a Rumble Pack before. This guy miss a couple issues and the whole world goes nuts. This guy, he's like their mascot, and he's not even reading Nintendo Power. What does that say? What does that say? So here we have the monthly power charts for the N64, the Super Nintendo, and the Game Boy. Look at this, eh? The Game Boy's still going, but the NES bit the dust 2 generations ago. Console generation. And right at the top of this month, Star Fox 64. And then here we have the most wanted list down here. Zelda 64. Star Fox 64, the Nintendo 64 disc drive. Earthbound 64. Got bad news for you guys. Turok 2. Clay Fighter 63 and a third. Yoshi Story, the N64, Mario Kart 64, and SimCity. Again, more bad news. But I just find this weird. It's the most wanted list. Usually you think with the most wanted list, it's stuff that is coming out. But here, like, the system's already been out for, like, I think 2 years by this point. All right, so here, this must be the N64 preview. So this must be those 45 or 46 pages. Oh, start with Zelda 64. This ended up being called The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. So don't go looking up Zelda 64. You'll never find it. I think this was the first Zelda game, a Legend of Zelda game I ever played, and one of the few I've ever beaten. It's kind of funny, I had to look this up afterwards to see where this fit into the timeline. And when this game came out, there were only really 4 other games before it. The original one, Zelda 2, Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, and A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo. Canon-wise, those abominations on the CDI don't count. This is the 5th game out of, like, what ends up being, like 17 or 20 or something like that they have out now. So this is pretty early in the long-running history of Zelda. So here we have Yoshi's Story. Up here they have an explanation of, what is this, 21 2D? I don't know. There's an explanation of it, and it says most of the action will be traditional side-scrolling stuff, but interactions may be affected by rotation or scaling of objects. It's not fully 3D, but it's a bit more than 2D. Hence, 2D makes sense to us. Well, it doesn't to me. So this, what is this, 21 2D? I don't understand. If you know what this means, feel free to explain it to me, because I don't get it. You know, I think we come up with a term for it later called 2.5D, which makes a lot more sense than whatever this is. But that being said, I played a bit of this game, and it's pretty fun. You know, I have Yoshi's Woolly World for the Wii U, and I really like that game. And I'd like to get Yoshi's Crafted World for the Switch. And so when I was playing this one, I love the run animation of the Yoshis. It's so funny. They're really booking it. But the weird thing about this, like, I don't know, I tried playing it twice, and it seems like, and I think I started from the beginning both times, and there's like, the book opens, and I think that what looks like a layout of stages. I thought maybe you're supposed to do all 4 in a row or something, and then you go to the next page, but it seems like you just pick one stage, beat it, and then the page flips, and then the next page I had 2 options, and this time I chose the other stage that I didn't do the first time, and it flips the page again. It's really weird. You know, the other thing that's also weird about it, I can't seem to get to, like, an end of the stage. I don't know what the end of a stage looks like. It's like, because the thing is, you're supposed to collect fruit, and the fruit will go up around the border of the screen showing you how many you have. And once you have completed it, once you have, you know, it tells you, oh, you have 5 left, oh, you have 1 left. And once you get the last fruit, boom, the stage just ends wherever you are. It is a fun game that I would like to play more. I just look at this Yoshi squishing this Shy Guy. Banjo-Kazooie. I played this game. I didn't play it back in the day. I think I played it on Xbox Game Pass, and it was I've heard it described as a collectathon, and sure enough, it very much is. You do collect a lot. So I decided to also, since I have Rare Replay, I decided to play it a little bit more and continue where I left off and play a different stage. And I was just wondering if it was just going to feel tedious just doing a whole bunch of collecting. But I don't know, maybe it was a better stage than the first one. But I did really like what I was playing. Like, yeah, you do collect a lot of different things, but there's so many different moves as well for banjo. I'm surprised that the like every combination you can think of, he does something different. They really utilize all the buttons on that controller. There's such an aggression between like Kazooie and the other characters you interact with. They're always insulting each other. I don't know what Kazooie's problem is. Just relax. Bomberman 64. This was a game I had a physical copy of this growing up, and I still have the box, but the cartridge, no idea where it went. Same with two other games. I have two of the boxes, no idea where the cartridge went. I think they must have been borrowed by somebody. I just don't remember who borrowed them and why they never gave them back. But if you're listening, I would like them back very much. This game is fun. It's there's like a ton of Bomberman games. I remember really enjoying Super Bomberman. I can't remember if it was Super Bomberman 1 or Super Bomberman 2, but I remember enjoying playing that when I was younger. So I think most games were in that style of the Super Bomberman. This one, I don't want to say for certain, but I'm assuming since it's the N64, this might be the first kind of like really 3D type that they did, and it's an exploring game of sorts. Like even some of this stuff kind of reminds me of Super Mario 64, where you're going through this like 3D world, trying to activate these switches and blowing up bridges and causing mass destruction and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if I remember Super Bomberman and even like Super Bomberman R for like the newer generations, it's a lot more you're just destroying enemies, blowing up the enemies in the maze. And the multiplayer again though, I only played against computer bots, but it's pretty funny because you can have like this ghost mode that after the characters get blown up, they can still play as ghosts, and then they run around and they have to jump on the other characters who are still alive, and they can like control them for a bit or mess up their controls. So I guess to try to steer them into other people's bombs, and it's pretty funny. And I gotta say, I think generally Bomberman's kind of a cutish character, but I think Bomberman 64, I think the design is probably the cutest of all of them. And here we go, Conker's Quest. Of course, the very famous Conker's Quest. As you know, this game did not come out this way, or maybe you don't know. This ended up being Conker's Bad Fur Day. And it's kind of funny reading all of this here because, they talk very highly about how this game is going to be so different from other platformers, and he's going to be looking around and drawing your attention to items and all that kind of stuff, and he's going to feel more like a companion. Well, I played Bad Fur Day. Well, not all of it, but some of it, and it just felt like a normal platformer to me. But there was something funny here that they say Barry, which is the girl chipmunk girlfriend, I guess. It says, although Barry was absent from the early version Rare provided for us for our use, apparently getting a makeover, and boy howdy, they were not kidding. Because here's what she used to look like, and this is after the redesign. It's up to you which one you like better. Like I know they were kind of going all edgy with Bad Fur Day, but I really can't stand the voice acting in that game. Like everyone just talks so awkwardly and uncomfortably. It's just in the humor and stuff. Again, like they're trying to be edgy, but you either have to go all out or you don't. You just don't do it. And I think they were trying to find some sort of middle ground, and but just the voice acting, it's just so, it feels so hollow and unnatural. It's just bizarre. I hate listening to the characters speak in this game. Extreme G. This one was, it's just kind of like a futuristic racer, weapons racer. I guess in a way, it kind of reminded me of F-Zero X, but I guess with weapons, even though I'm not exactly sure how the weapons are supposed to work, how the power-ups, there's tons of power-ups on there. I just don't know really what they do. But it was enjoyable for the little bit of it, played of it. I'd like to give it, I mean, it's something I could see myself playing a little bit more, especially, well, maybe more back then than now. So here we have WCW versus NWO World Tour. And here we got Macho Man Randy Savage. We got Hollywood Hogan. And we got Brandon Lee's The Crow. So I played this a bit to see what it was like. And yeah, just, I didn't really play much wrestling games growing up other than, I believe it was WWF Royal Rumble for the Super Nintendo. That one I had a lot of fun with. This, I did not. It was, I don't know, just a lot of button mashing. I didn't really know what was going on, and I couldn't figure out how to pin. And I figured that was, before I played the game, I figured I was going to have those types of difficulties, and sure enough, I did. But I don't know. People say that Nintendo 64 had a lot of the best wrestling games out there, so I'm not an expert on the wrestling games, so maybe it is one of the better ones, but it's just not for me. Space Station Silicon Valley. This game was a little odd. It starts off with this really kind of like cheap intro. It's like half animation or like still pictures, almost kind of cheap, like kind of cheating to be animation. You get some sort of briefing on what's going on, and then you're just kind of like you crash land with this guy and his robot buddy, which I don't see a picture of him. And then I played a few stages, and he just seems to sit in the ship. And every time you're in the stage, you're getting orders on what to do, and I guess it's him giving the orders. I don't know. And you have this like computer chip, and you go into all these different creatures to accomplish different goals throughout the missions because they have different abilities or different sizes or whatever. It's okay. There's something about it though that felt very hollow. And wow, look at the design of this bear. San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing. Now, there's a lot of racing games in this that I covered for this issue. And I'd say this one was probably my least favorite, which was weird. I was thinking that this one would probably be my favorite. I thought it'd be just like this fun arcadey racer. But I think like none of the racing games I played, none of the controls were really hard to get used to. But I think this one was probably the one of the controls I had the least fun with. And there's also this thing where they do these checkpoints, where as soon as you get to a certain part of the stage, in order to continue racing, you have to keep hitting these checkpoints, and you get more time. And I don't like that. I do not like that at all. But I don't know. To be honest, I probably didn't give it a fair enough time to really give it a fair assessment. But I did try it twice, and again, it's not terrible. It's just not. It wasn't my favorite of the ones that will be covered in this magazine. See, look at that. Look at that. Woo! That looks cool. I want to do that in the game. Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, the first of a plethora of Mortal Kombat Mythologies games that were all axed after the failure of this one. I don't know for certain that they were going to make more. I mean, I'm sure if this would have been a huge success, they would have done that for the other characters too, like Scorpion and Kano. Yeah, they would have done Kano, right? Everyone loves Kano. But what I did think was funny about this was here. It's all about the beginning of the MK tournament and Sub-Zero's adventures, and it includes platform and fighting action. Can this weird mix really work? We think so. Well, they were wrong. And again, I didn't play a ton of this game, but it's because it was just so hard to play. It's so weird. Like it looks like a Mortal Kombat game, but instead of just being a one-on-one fighter, it's like a platformer. And you fight like enemies, and you have to. I don't understand why there's these giant pillars that just keep coming down to crush you. And over here, I never even got this far. whatever these are, these platforms. The controlling, like, and the weird thing is you have to like hit a button to turn, to face your opponents, like which side you're facing. And I don't know, it's just it, turning a fighting game, using the mechanics of a fighting game and making it a platformer is a terrible idea, which I don't understand why they like the idea of making a platformer from a fighting game is not a bad idea. The idea of like taking a character, Sub Zero, and making a platformer, but you have to change the controls. And I don't know, maybe the PlayStation version's a little more playable, but especially when it comes to like moving, you go from like 0 to 60 just like that. It makes it really hard to do like fine movements, especially when you have these pillars that are coming down and you have to get in the gaps and not get squished. And like, cause even like touching the edges will like hurt you and send you backwards to get squished by the other one. I don't know. It was not fun. Duke Nukem 64. So I loaded this up and I found the controllers a little weird. I changed the controller settings, which helped a little bit. But the thing was, once I started playing, I realized that this was what they call Duke Nukem. What was it, 3D? And I had just bought Duke Nukem 3D World Tour 20th anniversary or whatever on the Xbox store for like $3, like a week before I played it on this. So I'll just talk about my experience on the Xbox One, and I think that was also the first time I ever played a Duke Nukem game, and it was fun. I mean, it's something I wouldn't mind continuing, and the the thing that's funny about it, it reminds me so much. I was gonna say it feels so much like a shooter of its era, but I didn't play a lot of first person shooters back in like the 90s or early 90s. And but it just kind of reminded me of like Star Wars Dark Forces, where like you have these like 2D images coming at you in like this 3D world. But because I also ended up loading Quake on the N64, and yeah, they have like 3D models so that when the character is dead, your opponent's on the ground, they don't just their body doesn't constantly move to the direction, like it's just not the same. You don't, because like with Dark Forces and everything, if the stormtrooper's body's on the ground, you only see it from one angle, no matter which. If you walk around the whole thing, the body will spin, so you only see it from that one image, from that one angle. It's not like that with Quake, but I'm pretty sure it was like that here with Duke Nukem 64. So here we have NFL Quarterback Club 98. I know it's hard to see, but that is a 98 there. Up there confirms that this is 98. I wasn't able to play this one, but I played 99, and it's fine. I didn't play it a lot, but it's just, I don't know. I do like football. I'm not a fan of the NFL anymore, but I do enjoy football. It's just, I don't understand because I also tried out Madden Football 64. And it's this weird thing where when you're the quarterback and you snap the ball, you have to like hit the snap button again in order for your receivers to show up on which button to throw to. Because if you don't hit that button, you can't throw to them. And I don't understand that if it's a passing play, why do you have to activate the buttons for your receivers? It should be automatic. Favre's favorites. Look at this. They spelt his name phonetically. His name should be spelt Favre or Favre. See? Oh, they did it down there. See? That's how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. Right there. It's pronounced Favre, but it's Favre. Unbelievable. Body Harvest. I played some of this too. I didn't get to the triplane area, but it was kind of weird. You know, you jump in these vehicles and shoot the bugs, as you can see in the screenshot here. And there's like tons of vehicles everywhere. It seems like every vehicle has a weapon, even though I think I'm just commandeering civilian vehicles. So I'm not sure if the weapon's actually in the vehicle or it's this guy shooting from within the vehicle. I mean, it seems like all the lasers seem the same anyway. The thing was, I was surprised about this game because early on in the game, I kind of got temporarily stuck because I was like, okay, there, it looks like there's a bridge here, but I can't get across it because it's like a what are they called? One of those bridges that I forget what they're called. And I was like, okay, so I tried to shoot it down or knock it over, but that didn't work. So I was like, okay, there's got to be some sort of switch or device or something around here to do that. So I got out of my vehicle and I read the sign there, and it says to cross the bridge, talk to the toll bridge. Is that what it is? I think it's a toll bridge operator or something like that. So like, okay, well, where's he? So I looked at the building closest to the bridge, and I was surprised. You can actually enter the building. I thought that these were just like this reminded me kind of like Blastcore, where they're just buildings there. You can't actually go in them. But yeah, you go in there, and the toll bridge operator's in there, and sure enough, he has a switch in his house that activates the bridge. And he doesn't activate it for you. You have to activate it. And then you go around the map and you shoot more bugs. The thing is, it seems to be okay with kind of guiding you on where you're supposed to go, getting mission updates and stuff like that. So there's like this boulder that's blocking this mountain pass. So you have the dynamite, and you have to use it to blow up the boulder. And it's a lot more powerful than I thought, because I went around to get cover around some of the mountain, but I left the vehicle I was using kind of like in front of it, and the dynamite blew it to bits. So I either had to, I think I ran around to find another vehicle before I went back into the pass, but then I just, that's where I ended it. It's okay. I think maybe back then I'd be more interested in it. Top Gear Rally. I remember back in the SNES days that I loved Top Gear 2. Nope, that's Star Fox. This is the thing that's surprising. See, because this game, they're pretty long laps, and for some reason, you start in last, and there's, what is this, rank right here? Yeah. And everyone starts, it's not like when the race starts, you all are together. It's like everyone is already at different points way beyond you. So you have to, like, slowly catch up to all of them. And why? Why is it like that? Like, why don't you all start like Mario Kart, where you have the 8 racers that you can see all behind the starting line? Yeah, I can't remember, but I think you're like the only one behind the starting line. Maybe I'm completely misremembering it, but I just know that it takes a long time to catch up to the person at first. They're way ahead, and the laps are pretty long. And that's the thing is with racing games, I don't generally like long laps. But of all the racing games I played, I think this one was my favorite. And the controlling was more loose, I guess, than I like, but I was able to figure out how it didn't take me long to adapt. Yeah, and I don't know. I think this was my favorite one of the ones I played. Quest 64. Like, what is with this? Like, you got that football where you could barely see the 98. Can you even see this? Can you see this here? Yeah, look at that. Barely see that. I don't know how many RPGs were on the N64, which is really weird because the Super Nintendo had so many. I don't know how many 3D ones either. Anyway, this one I did not play for long. I did not enjoy that much. I guess I kind of went in with a preconceived idea that this game was going to be bad just because I've heard it's bad. So that probably kind of helped me rush through trying it out. But if I gave it a fair shot, I probably still wouldn't like it. GoldenEye. One of the best games ever. I was able to get all of the secret codes by beating the stages on the difficult, because that's how you unlock the code, the cheats in GoldenEye, was you had to do each mission on a specific difficulty and beat it in a specific time limit, under the time limit. Not a specific time limit, you had to beat it under the time limit, and then you would unlock the cheat. And the two hardest ones were the invincibility and invisibility. And I was able to do it on my cartridge, and I also was able to do it a second time for my friend, for his cartridge. This game was so much fun, especially in multiplayer. I remember playing with my younger sister, just terrorizing her. She'd just scream when she sees me coming. It's funny when you're playing this game, when you're playing it now, you realize how much it relies on, like, auto aim. Because the controllers just weren't like the way they are today when it comes to first-person shooters. So here was that fold-out I was telling you earlier about. And it has all the covers of all the magazines, which I think is really cool. And so do you. And I'm looking for number 3, if this is clear. Oh, it's track and field too. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. So yeah, see? A foot on a track. I wish I had the whole run of Nintendo powered. I wish I had the whole run of a lot of magazines. Um, that'd be so cool. Because I think I started getting my physical copies at this one here, the Turok one. I don't think I have a physical copy earlier than that. But fortunately, Retro Mags has a whole bunch of screens, captures, scans of tons of magazines, including the early ones here. 100 other things that equal 100. And we will not be going through that. 100 best codes ever. I don't really see a point in going through that, other than to mention the Konami code. Oh, look at that. Numerous games, across generations, NES, Super NES, and Game Boy. So I guess depending which Konami game you're playing, if you pressed, what was it, up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, start, it would do something. And I can't remember what game it was, but I believe I remembered a code from back in the day. It was like left, right, A, B, wait, up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, start. So I wonder what that code was for. But I remember, I guess it's kind of been burned into my brain, the one that I was saying. I just can't remember what game it was for. And here are more codes. Even more codes. Whoa, what's going on? Look at all, by my quick count here, there's like 100 codes. And here we come to the counselor's corner, where people who need counseling come to get tips on the games they're playing. And here is Blast Corps, or as the guy at work would call it, Blast Corps. Awesome game. And that was the thing I was looking at. I was kind of glancing at some of these, especially for Blast Corps, to see what they covered here. Why can't I explore the planets beyond the moon? And that was the thing. I didn't even realize you could. I knew you could go to the moon. I just didn't realize that there were other planets to explore. So yeah, if you are able to get all the gold medals on every course, you'll be able to break out of lunar orbit. So I have beat the game. I guess I just don't have all the golds, which I'm pretty sure I already knew that. I've never played Harvest Moon. Star Fox. That's another game I'd like to do, try to get all the medals on. This is kind of funny because, yeah, it says how do you get a landmaster and the rocket launcher in a versus mode. And here, I don't know if you can see this, so I'll have to lift it up. You can see Slippy here. He's Supermaning with a rocket launcher. Oh, it looks like Peppy is too. Well, he looks like he's on the ground. And then there's a landmaster there. That'd be kind of funny. So and what do you have to do to get that? So I guess you have to earn the medal on Venom to get the R-Wing or the Landmaster. If you want to do the Landmaster rocket launcher after you complete the game on Expert mode. To access Expert mode, you must earn medals in all the game stages. Oh, sounds like that could take a while and be very frustrating. Hundreds of prizes, hundreds of winners. Really? You could win a t-shirt? Sign me up. So classified information. Okay, so I guess these are more cheats? So I guess this is the regular section for cheats, and that other area was just like the best cheats of all time. That was a special. That's why there's so many cheats in this magazine, because it's their anniversary. Shadows of the Empire, awesome game. This is Castlevania 2, but this is not the NES one. This is the Game Boy one, if you couldn't tell by the graphics. Was it Belmont's Revenge? And here we come to the 100 best games of all time. So this is including not just the past and the present, but also the future. This is all time. I was going to go play each one of these just so I'd have something to say on every single game here. But the thing was, I realized even if I just played 10 minutes of all these games, it would be like over 16 hours. So I was like, you know what? This read-through is probably going to be long enough already. So maybe I'll just cover the 100 best games of all time at a different time. But look at this. Look at it. You got Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye. I don't want to say recency bias, but Wave Race 64 is the 15th best game of all time. Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Star Fox 64. Yeah, I'd have that pretty high up. Super Mario RPG, I played it. It's fine, but honestly, I think it's a little overrated. But Maybe that was a thing. Maybe I just heard so much that I was kind of, by the time I finally played it, because I only finally played it a couple of years ago. So maybe by then it just didn't live up to the hype. Oh, look at this. International Superstar Soccer 64 is the 27th best game of all time. I would like to contest that. What did you say over here? So you want to fight about it? Yeah, I do. I do really want to fight about that one. Just name the time and place. Nintendo Power. I can't help but notice for the 100 best games of all time, now there are no PlayStation or Xbox or 360 games on this, or not even Switch games. And they all seem to be games that are Nintendo systems. This feels extremely misleading and biased for the best video games of all time. You're telling me that Baseball 2000? Come on. It's ahead of Metal Gear. Yeah, you know what? This feels rigged. 10 worst games of all time. So I guess I will give them some credit that also the 10 worst games of all time were also games that were playable on Nintendo systems. But I still think this is false advertising. All time. Wait, best. Oh, wait. Is it best? Oh, no. Maybe it isn't. Say 100 best. Is that part of the title? Nintendo games of all time? Because on the front it just says 100 best games of all time. But then again, they also said it was 64 pages, and then said it was. Oh, sorry. They also said it was 46 pages, and it ended up being 45. I never actually counted, so maybe 46 was right. The 100 Nintendo Power's 100 all-time best scores. Who cares? Here we have now playing. So this is their review section. Their rating system got a 8.3 out of 10. GoldenEye 007. Hey, this is the 7th best game of all time, and you gave it a 9. So E and SD were not as impressed. Comments. Dan. The realistic level design makes it feel as if you are Bond. Scott P. I think the multiplayer mode gives it incredible replay value. I agree. Star Fox 64, 8.4. Comments. The multiplayer mode is a real plus, even if the story is pretty much the same as the original. And like, didn't they do that again with Star Fox Zero? It's just like, and then they released this as Star Fox 64 3D for the 3DS. It's just like, is there really only one story to tell in the Star Fox universe? After Star Fox 64 and GoldenEye, games without multiplayer options may seem like they're missing something. That's a major change. Tetrasphere, 7.8. I'll have to trust them at their word on that one. Earthworm Jim. Now, I played this, and I remember trying this out a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, a couple years ago, and I was kind of meh, and I gave up real quickly. I played it again for this read-through, and yeah, I actually really enjoyed it a lot more, because I was just like, how much did I even play the first time? I don't think I played, because I don't remember anything about it. Of all the stuff what I was playing, I was just like, this all seems brand new. So I must have gave up real quick and just easily dismissed it. But I like Jim's run cycle. It's pretty amusing. But the thing is, once you run into the first enemy, you're immediately like fighting the camera. So I mean, that's one major flaw against this game is the camera. It's not intuitive. It seems too close, and it often seems it's facing the wrong angle, especially regarding. Well, I mean, you have control when you're not worried about an enemy. It's not that bad, but when there's enemies, yeah, it's not good. There's a funny thing because this game takes place in Jim's brain, in his head. So you can walk at the beginning of the game. You can walk up to this like door or something, and it'll like open up, and it turns out it's Jim's eyes, and so you can see what he's seeing through his eyes, and it's like Peter looking down on him as you're going through. I guess it looks like you're being rolled through a hospital hallway or something, and there's just signs that just keep saying X-ray. They have like a million signs on the ceiling that say X-ray, but it's just kind of funny that you can see through his eyes while you're in his brain as him. And there was the one thing that I did notice though, that these screenshots, they don't look like they're from the N64 version. he looked a little chunkier. I'm wondering, I don't know if this game came out on any other system or if this was just the early design or something, but this doesn't look like anything that I played in the game. I do remember a similar hedgehog enemy, but they seemed a lot bigger and, again, chunkier. So I don't know what these screenshots are from, but if I don't, this may not have been this. I don't feel at all that this was the final version of the game. But yeah, it's a game that I would have liked back in the day, I think, and I would probably still play more of it. F1 pole position. I tried this one out too, actually right before this recording, because it turns out I played the wrong game. I played F1 World Grand Prix because I just thought that they renamed the game. Turns out I was wrong. It was kind of funny playing this game. Like, you start off with like at least like I think 22. There's 22 racers. As I kept going, I was starting to pass people. Like, there's like 10 laps and they're like a minute and a half each or something. And I accidentally went for a pit stop and it dropped me into last place by the time I got out. But then afterwards, I started noticing the other players started dropping like flies because I was like, oh, what place am I in? I was like 21. And then and I was like, wasn't this a different number at first? And yeah, as the race goes on, other players will drop out, like, because something happens to their car. Like, I've seen some of them, like, with the smoke coming out of their car and all that kind of stuff. And so the rest of the game, the rest of the race, and, I'm trying to play catch up. And every time I pass somebody, I'd be like, okay, good, at least I'm not in last. But then, like, the person would drop out, so it would put me in last. And by the end of the race, I finished like eighth out of nine. Yes, fortunately, I did not qualify for any points, but it was just weird how many players in one how many racers in one race dropped out. When I compare this to the World Grand Prix game, though, uh, I didn't play like I've only played one race for both games, but I think I liked the other one better. Here we go, F-Zero 64, which ended up being F-Zero X. I played, or I think I played a few races of that. I think I played about three. And I don't know if I ever played the original F-Zero on the SNES. I must have, but it wasn't a game that I definitely did not play a lot of if I did, because I think I would have remembered if I had played it before. Legion X. This ended up being called Last Legion UX, and this was a Japan only game, and it's a mech fighter, which I was surprised to find on the N64. I mean, I can't say I've gone through its whole library, but I just wasn't aware there were any mech games or mech combat games on the N64. It's weird, especially just starting out, playing for the first time, getting used to the controls. It's weird. It feels both clunky and graceful at times. It did things that I was surprised about, especially like the strafing and stuff. But I found it kind of hard to hit my targets. And I did two battles, and both times there's like this self detonation button. I think I was able, like, it's not like a self detonation, but it looks like a self detonation because you just kind of like the explosion like comes from you. It looks like you self detonated. And both times my opponents, that's how they finished me off, was hitting me with it because it does massive damage. I think the second fight, I tried to do it to them. I don't know how I activated it, but I did. I saw I had like this built up flame thing in the center of my HUD, and I activated it, but the guy got away. I probably would have won if I had hit him with it, but it seems kind of cheap. There is like a block button, so I wonder if I had hit it in time, if I would have been able to block it, or at least if I had of. There must be a dash. I can't remember if there was a dash. Because there is a strafing thing that's pretty fast. It's a game I would like to try more to see if I can get better at it, or if it's just always going to feel kind of not that graceful. Because I remember back in the day, I really liked Armored Core for the PlayStation. And I don't honestly, it's been so long since I played that game. All I do remember was that I enjoyed it, and I liked it a lot. So I think it was much easier to control, at least to start off with, than this game. Mace 64. This actually became Mace: The Dark Age, and this was a lot better than I was expecting. I was expecting this to be a slow, clunky fighter. Like, again, the 64 has its specialities. Specialties? Not specialities, man. What idiot! I wouldn't think that fighting games is really one of them. It kind of reminds me of a cross between like Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur. It says even right here that this makes better use of the N64 than Mortal Kombat Trilogy or War Gods. And yeah, there's quite. I mean, for a lot of it, I guess I was just kind of hitting random buttons. Like I didn't know exactly the combinations of each character or what their moves did. I was just kind of messing around with exploring, trying to do Street Fighter combos on stuff. And yeah, it's a game that it's too bad that I feel deserved its own kind of series, a franchise. Because a couple of reasons I compared it to Mortal Kombat is just that they have this like execution mode. I think it's like after your opponent's out of health, you can execute them, and I don't know how to do it, but I probably wouldn't really do it either way. And also, when you go to set up your next fight, they show you all the people you defeated. It shows all their heads on spikes. The senseless violence. I don't really care for that part of the game. The combat, though, the actual fighting, though, I thought was not too bad. Here's Madden 64, which was ended up being Madden Football 64. Again, I just played a little bit. Same thing with the quarterback club. It's just kind of like, why do you have to hit snap twice to like activate the receivers you're going to throw it to? This would be the first entry on the N64 for Madden. So here they have the first 100 Nintendo 64 games. So here they have the ones that have already come out have this little dot beside them, and the rest are who they're guessing will come out. So I did some quick research to find out which ones that didn't come out, just so I could point out how wrong they were. So here we go. Addams Family Pinball did not come out. Aero Fighters did. Okay, so we'll just skip ahead to the ones that didn't come out. Buggy Boogie did not come out. And from what I looked up, I think it was some sort of like a dune buggy type of combat racer. Condemned, that did not come out. Conqueror's Quest, that was bad for a day. Dracula 3D, that did not come out. Again, I don't know if some of these maybe did come out in Japan. And I will point out the ones that I think were just renamed. Dragonstorm, no. Earthbound 64, no. Extreme Sports, that did not come out. Freak Boy, that didn't come out. Obviously that one came out because it's the 27th best game of all time. Kirby's Air Ride, that one I would say was postponed or something because that ended up coming out for the GameCube. Knife Edge, that one I guess did come out as Knife Edge Nose Gunner. Still don't know really what that is. Konami Baseball did not come out. Legend of the Mystical Ninja was renamed Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. I already told you about Legion X here. That one was Japan exclusive, came out as Last Legion UX. This was Lode Runner 3D. And this is the Mace the Dark Age, not Ages. And that's Madden Football 64. Mario Paint 64. I did not know that was even announced. NBA Hardwood Heroes. That did not come out. Look at that. They were planning a second Pilot Wings for the N64. That did not come out. Quest for Camelot, no. Rev Limit, no. Robotech Crystal Dream, no. SimCity 64, no. Sim Chopper, no. This one was renamed Starshot Space Circus Fever. St. Andrew's Old Course did not come out. And I don't know what that is, but it sounds like it might have been a golf game. Super Mario RPG 2 did not come out. It is possible that ended up being Paper Mario. And look at this. They were also planning... You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe these weren't planned or announced. These were just Nintendo Power guessing and hoping that there would be a Super Mario 64 too. They just assumed, I guess. Super Bomberman 64. Yeah, I guess that's just Bomberman 64. The thing is, there's actually another Bomberman 64 that came out in Japan, which is a lot more like the traditional Bomberman games. It's just weird that they would call them both Bomberman 64 when they're on the same system and they're entirely different games. Ultra Soccer and Ultra Descent and Unreal did not come out. Neither did Video Systems Racing. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 2 did come out, I believe. I think that was just Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. And Wild Choppers, that did not come out. This one here, Raw is War WWF 6. I think this ended up being Warzone because it looks like there's no WWF game according to this already, and I believe Warzone was the first N64 Wrestling WWF game. And that one was their Ocarina of Time. So I might be wrong on some of these. It was, like I said, I just did some quick research. I don't know if some of the ones that I said didn't come out were actually did come out, maybe just in Japan, or they were renamed. But based on the little research I did, I cannot find those as releases. And here we have coming up next issue. A lot of things I already covered. And then fun to the 100th power. So that concludes my in-depth and thoroughly entertaining read-through of Nintendo Power 100. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will watch my next video.